Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
Hello, I am Sergeant Allison Simpson with the City of Scottsdale Police Department's Community Engagement Section. The information, audio, video, and pictures you are about to see are intended to provide details as we currently understand them of an officer-involved shooting that occurred around 5:20 p.m. on March 21st, 2024. This video may contain strong language as well as graphic images, which could be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. This incident began when an officer received an alert about a stolen vehicle around 74th Street and Shea Boulevard. The officer located the vehicle in the area and was able to confirm the license plate, which dispatch confirmed was reported as stolen. Two officers initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle at North Scottsdale Road and East Cactus, where the vehicle immediately stopped just south of the intersection. Here is a portion of the radio traffic.
Girlton, I'll be directly behind the vehicle. We're coming up to Cactus and Scottsdale.
Yes.
What's my next closest?
317, that's Scottsdale Cactus.
16, can you have me to the 1040, please?
10-4.
We're stopped right now at a red light. Looks to be occupied times one only.
10-4.
Set up to go northbound street.
Right now it is in the number one lane.
Alright, so once you got 3 units, go ahead and make the call. If you're feeling comfortable, you can initiate.
310 initiating.
Please copies all units. Hold your traffic for 3L10s. Scottsdale Cactus. 3L73, the George unit is advising there's shots fired on the call. I copy all units 998, Scottsdale Cactus.
The Scottsdale Police Department utilized cameras that were located in Real-Time Crime Center to monitor the traffic stop. Here is a view from the traffic camera located at that location, along with the officer's on-body camera.
Body-worn cameras are used by all officers assigned to patrol and several specialty units. Per policy, they are worn in the mid-torso level and capture the view of the line of sight from that perspective. It is important to note that the camera lens is fixed and does not capture everything seen or experienced by the officer. When activated, both audio and video turn on. The body-worn camera has a buffer of video without audio for 30 seconds prior to activation. This feature is designed to capture incidents that happen suddenly where an officer doesn't immediately activate the camera. The Scottsdale Police Department does not currently use an in-car camera.
The top video is Officer 1's OBC, and the bottom video is the city traffic camera footage. Officer 2 did not have his OBC activated. As you can see from the video, Officer 1 activates his emergency lights, and the vehicle comes to a stop at North Scottsdale Road and East Cactus. When the driver of the vehicle exits, the officer begins to give the command of stay in the vehicle. Immediately, the suspect fires his weapon at officers, and the two officers on the traffic stop return fire. The suspect gets back into his vehicle and repositions, facing the officers, still pointing the firearm in their direction. The officers continue to fire until they perceived there was no threat to the surrounding community or themselves. This is a portion of the traffic camera slowed down. This was an isolated incident and no other community members were injured. The officers involved have been placed on post-critical incident leave while the internal and criminal investigation continues, which is standard for all officer-involved shootings. Officer number 1 has been with the department for 3 years, and officer number 2 has been with the department for 24 years. This incident is subject to an internal and criminal investigation, which will be reviewed by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office and the Scottsdale Police Department. Any conclusions about whether the actions of the officers are consistent with department policy and the law.
Alright, so we'll skip the rest of this. So the bulk of this video has basically been her talking. We don't see a whole lot from the incident itself. So they've got an alert about a stolen vehicle. I would imagine that that's probably most likely one of two ways this came about. One, the officer may have had a camera system on his vehicle that scans license plates as it's driving along, and then an alert popped up that, hey, someone just passed you with a stolen car. or there's cameras throughout the city that scan license plates, and then will give a notification when a particular plate is hit on. There's also the possibility of the owner of that vehicle spotting their car out there, or a family member or friends of them seeing that vehicle out there and then calling it in. But I think that probably most likely is some type of camera system has captured the plate and has made that alert. Those things are pretty cool. I forget the acronym of the one that goes on the vehicles. But there's also a company, Flock, Flock, Flock camera system, or Flock security cameras. I can't remember which, but they can install cameras throughout a city, and that can really help with capturing vehicles that are stolen, and or being able to track certain things as far as vehicles throughout the city, and knowing about time frame of when it was through a certain area. Those camera systems can also be purchased by like apartment complexes, other private properties, and so when certain vehicles drive into the area, and it recognizes a certain license plate, it logs it with a timestamp and it may start recording, saving that recording or whatever. So pretty cool technology there. But anyway, I would say that's probably how they got this alert of this vehicle with some type of camera system. It is a busy roadway, it appears. Go back into this aerial right here. Yeah, big roadway, big intersection here. What is this? One little house. That's interesting. One house, big block right here. Looks like a camper right there. So then you got obviously a residential area, some type of commercial building here, maybe a couple more. Like whoever this is, man, like they're holding out. I can only imagine how much that property would probably sell for at a busy intersection like that. So whoever this is sitting on some money. But when you think about stolen vehicles and going to make a felony traffic stop, location, right? Like just because you come across that vehicle doesn't mean you have to make that stop right then and there. He could have chose to follow the vehicle for a little while, find a better place to do a stop. And it could be that this was the better place to do a stop. It could be that if they continued going on, they would have gone into an even more populated area. So I don't know much about the area, so I can't really talk to any more about that. But I think it's worth saying something about location of stops. Going back into the video itself, so we see, let me drop this volume down. So we see the officer here on the bottom screen pulling in his vehicle, making that stop, and then we hear them talking about a second officer, but you don't see an actual second squad car. Here at the bottom again, let me zoom it along. We see another vehicle, boom, right here, and so I think this is the second police vehicle. And when you look to the rear of this vehicle right here, you will see somebody run across the back of it. Right there. Hit replay on it. So someone runs through there. That's that second officer. And I think he came out of this vehicle right here, because you can kind of see the driver's side door open on it just a little bit. So that's where that second officer was. When they was talking about second officer and all I saw was this squad car, I was thinking it was a two-man car. But when he starts to get out, I never saw a head pop up over there. So I was like, what the heck's going on here? But when you pay attention to the video a little bit more, very quickly you see that person run to the back. So I think obviously he's in this vehicle here. All right. So the rifle. When it comes to videos like this, that is one of my chief complaints. Officers failing to get rifles out when they need to be getting rifles out. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. So they're going to be making a stop on a stolen vehicle. This is going to be a high-risk traffic stop, a felony traffic stop. High-risk stop means that there's a increased chance of a gunfight happening. And so whenever anything's high-risk like that, you want to have a long gun out. So this officer, as soon as he made the stop, he was able to very quickly dismount the vehicle with that rifle ready to go. So that tells me that the officer, as he was preparing to make this stop, or was going to the area to make this stop, he went ahead, got his rifle out of its storage area, whether it was mounted inside the cab of the vehicle in a mount or was in the trunk. He got it out. He flipped the sight covers down. You can see there's a sight cover there. He flipped those down, charged the handle. I don't know if the sling was folded up and stored to the side or not, but it could have been. That's a pretty popular thing to do. So, could have undone that as well. And then, wham, had that rifle ready to go. That is great. That's awesome. I love it. This tells me this officer has a good fighting mindset, that he understands a rifle is what you want in a gunfight. I personally think that had he not had this rifle out and able to use it, I think this gunfight probably would have lasted a lot longer than what it did. I think that him being able to lay down that fire with that rifle stopped this gunfight from going any longer than what it did. If he had a pistol, I think there would have been a lot more rounds exchanged. So, busy area, busy intersection. You don't want a prolonged gunfight going on, because more pistol rounds being fired means that's an increased risk of other people being hurt. Ending it with a rifle so it doesn't last a minute is a better choice. It's better for the safety of the public. So he got the rifle out and ready and made the stop and was able to dismount the vehicle with it in his hand. Either he has decided to practice this on his own, or he has trained for it during department training. I kind of don't necessarily think that it's very highly likely that there was some type of department training covering that. I say this is something that him as an individual wanting to improve his performance, being a better warrior, is probably something he's decided to do on his own. The big problem, I think, with all across this nation on why we have officers neglecting to get rifles out is, I think it does go back to training, or rather a lack thereof. When you think about firearms training on the range, you do pistol training. You're on the range, you're standing there, pistols on your side. You commence firing. You draw the pistol from your holster, point it at target, and start shooting. You reholster pistol. On the next drill, same thing. You draw a pistol, point it at target, shoot, put pistol back. That's realistic, because you're going to be carrying a pistol with you at all times. So when in the real world, when you're on the sidewalk, you're on the road, and beep, things happen, boom, you're automatically able to pull that pistol out of the holster and aim at target and shoot. Just like you do on the range. When it comes to rifle training, you're on the range and you start off with a rifle in your hands. But in real life, you're not starting off with a rifle in your hands. You have to go get that rifle from somewhere, right? whether you have to go to the trunk of the car and get it out, or you got to go get it out of the rifle mount that's in the cab. You have to go get it from somewhere. There are very, very few law enforcement officers in this country who walk around with a rifle all day long. Probably like 1% at that, who actually carry a rifle around on a daily basis. Not just have it with them in the car, but I mean like it's slung to them, like it is on their body. Very, very, very small number of officers who do that in this country. Everyone else, it's in the car. Like it's with them, but it's not on them. And so that disconnect in the training, I think, partly contributes to why we just don't see officers getting rifles out a whole lot, because they're just not being realistically trained. I think that good training with rifle should incorporate you getting the rifle out. That means you start in the driver's seat and you have to get the rifle out of the rifle mount, or you have to get out of the car, go back to the trunk, get the rifle out. Disengage the safety caps on your sight, charge the handle, loosen the sling, like take it out of its accordion stowage configuration, undo it, sling it, bring it up, get it into the fight. That, I think, would be good training to be had. Starting off with having to get the rifle out of its stowage area and then getting onto the shooting line. So there's that part of the training issue with it. And then the other training issue, I just don't think that a lot of places have a good training program that instills a good fighting mindset. I think they just go over the flat range stuff, like how to run the pistol, how to run the rifle, but I don't think they necessarily go into why you want that rifle. I don't think they really go into heavily encouraging people to go to a rifle. I just think in a lot of places it's just like, okay, this is how you operate the gun, this is how you operate the rifle. Okay, now you're certified in both of those. Go out and conquer the world. So lack of realistic training, lack of instilling a good fighting mindset into people, I think those are some of the biggest reasons why we see rifles not being pulled out a whole lot. And then just the mere fact that, the overall statistical numbers of, gunfights happening and everything, of course, all the things are different. But for a lot of them, it just boils down to, the pistol's always on you, right? Like that's going to be the first go-to thing. The rifle is stowed away somewhere and you have to go get that out. So in some of these scenarios, there's just not a whole lot of time to get that rifle out. But of those scenarios, of those incidents that I've seen, there have been times where they could have got a rifle out, but they neglected to because it obviously just was not in their mindset to get that out. I think it's a good practice to get that rifle out before you ever get on scene. So, some type of high-risk call you're going to, if that means you have to stop the car and get out, go to the trunk and get that rifle out, danger it up, and then get back in the car and proceed to the call, then do that. That way, when you get to that call and you dismount that vehicle, you've already got that rifle ready to go. It's in your hands, ready to play. You don't have to then go get it out and get it ready. It should already be ready when you get there. So we don't get to see a whole lot of the rifle itself. It does appear to me that he has a silencer on it. You can't see it because of the sling very well. And of course, every time I pause it, the sling's in the way. And now the timestamp's in the way. So can't see it very well. But if you look down here to the gun itself and then the shadow of the gun against the car, it does appear to me that he has a silencer attached to it. Oh, that was a good freeze frame right there, and I just missed it. Yeah, so you can see that classic profile of a silencer right there. This is another, I wouldn't say a trend, but I guess you could kind of say this is another emerging trend. So just like how we've seen red dots are becoming the norm, before it was more of the norm, like you started to see that progressive trend of like so many people switching over to red dots, right? Silencers. This is happening in the rifle world within law enforcement now. You're starting to see more and more silencers come out and be put into play. People are starting to figure out the benefits of these things, right? Just like tourniquets, right? Like you go 10 years ago, you wouldn't see hardly any officers having a tourniquet on them. At least not normal, like regular, everyday officers. The majority of them. It was just very few officers out there that you would see who actually carry tourniquets. And these are the ones, who have the right mindset. They train on their own dime. They practice on their own, etc. So we're starting to see silencers being used more often, and that's a good thing because there are benefits to having a silencer, more so than just what people think is making it all quiet and everything. There's more to it than that. So I don't know if this is a situation where this guy is just a regular patrol officer and they just happen to give all regular patrol silencers, or if he is part of a specialized team and he gets to carry that rifle around that he uses with that team, like he might be on a SWAT team or whatever, or if he's part of some type of specialized team that ends up getting some more of the specialized equipment, and then also with that comes the more extra training with their rifle. So yeah, SWAT team guys, drug interdiction guys, they all get to have that extra training, right? And so this could be a situation where he's getting some extra training with this rifle, which is making him having a better fighting mindset with this rifle. I want you to pay attention to the door here on the suspect vehicle. We notice it's nice and clean and the window is up. So as he starts firing into this car, you just start seeing holes pop, 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 right? This pad on this computer is very finicky. So vehicles and bullets. So bullets can pass through vehicles fairly easily, especially when you think about from driver's side door going through the passenger side door, right? It can go through very easily. Less material there. From nose to tail, there is more material there for rounds to compete with. So, firing from the rear, you've got the trunk lid area, contents in the trunk, going through back seat, back wall of the trunk area, passing through, going into the front seat area, and then going through. Or depending on the angle, if you're firing into the side of this vehicle right here, you've got the C frame to contend with. You may have the B frame here to contend with, and those are and of course your A frame or your A post, B post, C post. These are thick areas of metal that can significantly slow down and or stop bullets. Doors, not a whole lot of thickness there. It usually is like warm knock through warm butter, right? But we see this officer dump multiple rounds into this vehicle, and that's a good thing. He has this guy has fired rounds at the police, and then has ducked back into the vehicle. And pay attention to the window right there, the back window. It's going to fly out here in a second, and it looks like you see a muzzle flash from inside the car. Hit that again, so pay attention. It could be light reflecting off something, but it almost looks like a muzzle flash to me as far as how quick and bright the flash is. Pay attention to it. It's right in there. All right, so we see boom, 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 bunch of rounds going into there. So this officer was doing the right thing. He was dumping multiple rounds through that vehicle to hit that target. So this guy has ducked inside the car. He's now in some form of cover. It's not the best cover in the world, but he's in some form of cover, and he can start shooting through his windshield and reach these officers. So this officer's doing the right thing, putting holes, putting rounds into the body of that car to reach that guy's body. You think about standard firearms training, you got a paper target squared off to you right there on the line. You draw, point, shoot, reholster. That's not real world. People are at odd angles, they're turned sideways, they may be squatted down, they may be freaking bent over, they may be in a prone position, just whatever. They may be inside a car, ducked behind a window, a door, something. So you have to think about those barriers and put rounds through those barriers in order to hit your target. And this is where a good vehicle class comes into play, where you get to shoot through a car. Like, if you have the opportunity to shoot a car up, do it. You will learn a lot about how bullets are affected by the materials of that vehicle. Just the windshield itself. Shooting through the windshield itself at a target that is at the hood of the vehicle, and then one that is 10 feet from the hood, you are going to see a significant deviation in that round, and you're going to have a whole new understanding of how laminate glass impacts a round, and how it has an effect on its trajectory, and how far off it's going to be when you start trying to shoot at someone through your windshield. Same with the skin of the body and everything. Like, you put targets on the other side of the car, you do different targets in different angles, you're going to figure out that the body of this vehicle changes how your trajectories are. So you get an opportunity to take a vehicle class, do it. You're going to learn a lot from it. And this officer is plugging rounds in through this area, making these rounds pass through and go into this guy here. So even though you may not be able to see the person themselves very well, you can most certainly set your sights up on that barrier and punch through that barrier to hit your target, to take them out of the fight. That's it, I think. Not much else to really be talking about. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.